please feel free to chip in. You know, as it's a post hibernation select few of us tonight. We'll have opportunity just to interrupt me, because you won't want to listen for the next 45 minutes or so. So please interject and break my voice up a bit. But yeah, we're going to be promoting a beautiful new brand guide. And if you for you, Charlotte, as you're new, you might not know the backstory. We used to have these kind of paper copies of our product range. We called it a catalogue or a brochure.
Yeah, I did see, I saw one of your posts actually saying that they'd taken them away and they've just brought them back again. So
absolutely. And I mean, it's a blatant brand shout out, isn't it? Look at that front cover. So I've got some slides to share with you, so that I'm not just talking to you without any visuals. But what I'd like to do is to start. I think Marbecca and Natasha have got one in front of them. They can have a flick. Yeah, there we go. As we go. But I mean, talk about brand, kind of right from the beginning. We've got kind of Barnabas and Annabelle Kindersley, part of the family that own the brand. A real kind of shout out to who we are as a company. Mine is a bit chubby, and you'll explain why. I'll explain why in a minute, but it's difficult to turn the pages. But right in the front of the brochure, we've got pages about what we're about, proof that organic works, and then our certifications and all the logos of the various companies, like the Leaping Hare, the Vegan Association, the Soil Association, Cosmos, and all the explanations on what those actually mean, which is just fab, because it's quite difficult to retain all that information in your head. So one of the things I think is quite powerful about this is that it's a script. So you've then got, are you seeing that in mirror?
No, it's good. No, it's perfect.
Okay, it's just in mine. So then we've got a page with some information for people who are thinking about joining. And then the very next one is a page about thinking about hosting. So when you think about the options people have got, you've got pages for different things. It's not just about shopping. And I'm going to come back to that in a bit. I love these two next pages. We had these previously, and I'm really glad to see them back. Skin and how it works, and then what the heck is a toner? Why do I need a serum? How often should you use an exfoliator? That kind of stuff. And then this page 9, I think, is my favorite in the brochure. You can see I've pimped page 9. It's got a little waggly tea bag there, and I'll explain a bit more in a minute. But that skincare guide, that is a real conversation starter. And I think what's lovely when you use this with a group of people is when they've had the chance to read it through, it means everybody starts talking. So you're not, it kind of opens up the discussion, and you're not presenting, you are just facilitating chat about skincare products. So I'm going to talk quite at length about page 9 in a minute. And then we basically go into the collections. And I think what's lovely is we've got all the range, but we've got loads of space. I mean, look at that, a whole page just for that beautiful image of the frankincense intense.
That's the range that I want to get. That's the range that I'm interested in buying for myself, because I tried, was it I saw I think you did a post where you put was it the face wash or something, and it just looks so nice because it goes into oil, or is it oily and then you wash it and it goes into
milk.
It's a milk. That's it.
The triple action cleansing milk. Absolutely gorgeous.
It looks good.
So you've got the frankincense intense
there you go.
range there, right opposite that beautiful image on the double page spread. And the one you're talking about is this tube here.
Okay, right.
And silver top for, I'm going to go into product training here. No, don't do it, John.
Sorry.
Silver top for first signs of aging, gold top for second signs of aging. And then I'm just going to flip. So you've got all of the facial,
all the collections. That's good.
A whole page for each one, which is just fab. And then men's. Not that men can't use all the others. Sensitive, and then this heritage page, I'm going to refer to that as well. That's really nice to have that pulled together for several reasons. Our new skin boosters, and this bit at the top, when you get yours, Charlotte, you'll be able to have a read, but Marbecca and Natasha, have a read of, you know, kind of what is a booster? Why do we need it? I mean, it's so helpful in terms of explaining to people the benefits and features of these parts of our range. Then after the boosters, we go into body.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to kind of talk more about that in a minute. Then we've got Women's Balance, Be Lovely. Oh, I can't grab the page. Beauty Sleep. And then Geranium and Orange. So at this point, rather than the title of the range, like Women's Balance or Beauty Sleep or Be Lovely, you've got fragrance. So Geranium and Orange, obviously one of our signature fragrance for body stuff. So it's got a whole page.
Nice.
And then we've got Seaweed and Arnica, Aromatic. What's that one? I can't read it back to front. English Lavender and Garden Mint and Bergamot.
Nice.
What's lovely about that is before we had all the shower stuff together, all the bath stuff together, all the hand stuff together. So if you had somebody who fell in love with Geranium and Orange, you had to go to all the different pages to find out what else was Geranium and Orange.
Yeah.
Whereas now, everything Geranium and Orange
is on the same one page. Yeah.
And there's a celebration of Geranium and Orange kind of in the imaging, but you don't have to have all the products. We know what the bottles look like. I just think the pages are really clean, but you've got all of the products listed, so they can just have a glance down there and think, oh yeah, actually, do you know what, that in the shower gel would be lovely, or go on then, I'll have a hand cream because it smells the same, etc.
Yeah.
The only exception for that is hair care, and that's because the fragrances, they are things like rose and lavender and seaweed and orange flower, which actually relate more to the face ranges in terms of fragrances than the body. So it just wouldn't fit easily to put it all in with the body. So we've got it there. And then the Defend and Protect range that came out with the Defense hand spray, or afterwards, because it was so popular. Mother and Baby. You'll see why in a minute. I'm flicking through all these so you can understand the catalogue. But that page I think is beautiful. It's a whole call out to aromatherapy. And, you know, even things like what is an essential oil, this paragraph here, just so helpful in explaining to people. Our Chi diffuser I have just invested in, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's going to be around for a few months, probably, based on how fast we're selling it. So it's, you know, it's not one of those flash in the pan things. We've got it for a while. So have a look at that on the website. And then on this page, a bit of a shout out to essential oils, but particularly a bit about essential oils and how they work, but then the remedies to roll feature on this page, and at the bottom, the blends. And that's really nice because a lot of the blends go with the remedies to roll. So you've got things like the meditation blend and the meditation remedy to roll, Women's Balance blend, Women's Balance remedy to roll. It doesn't happen across all of them, but it's really nice to have them together. That will make selling those products really easy to do, or much easier to do. And then on the next page, you've got the full range of all the essential oils. And I quite fancy 4 little thin glass shelves with them all spread out like that. It looks rather nice, doesn't it? Wouldn't that be nice to have in your house? Sorry, go on, Marbecca.
No, I'm just saying, yes, I would love that. That would be my dream.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? And then this is a nice page. It's got a real shout out to therapists in this section here, just calling out about the professional size, the 950 ml bottles of, no, 500 ml, I was doubting myself, of pre-blended massage oils, and then the base one that you can add essential oils to as well, for those who are qualified aromatherapists. But quite a lot of massage therapists love our pre-blended massage oils, because it just means that you don't have to be qualified as aromatherapist to use them, because Neil's Remedies have done the work for you in terms of blending. Create Your Own, which is our base products that you can add your own essential oils to. So all that aromatherapy is there together in the same area of the catalogue. And then Home Fragrance makes total sense to put that there. And then you've got Natural Health. You can see my Post-its all over it. And vitamins and supplements, teas, tinctures, Inner Health, basically across those 2 pages. And then on the back cover, kind of, well, some of our awards, but also a bit about Become a Consultant Today. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see that, look, there's a little quote from me. I was so surprised.
Oh, yeah.
On the catalogue. And I've written, yes, it's me, with 2 exclamation marks on the back, because this one's actually going to one of my customers. So I just thought, right, well, I'm going to put that on the back. And then this shop, share, join, kind of options of how, you know, how do you want to engage with the brand, basically, so that customers are able to realize they've got 3 choices.
Okay.
So bit of a whistle stop tour, and what I'm going to do now is share some slides with you, because I just want to kind of expand on some of that. So let's go from here, so that we can have a look at this a bit more together. And if you want to say, can you show us that page again, Sian? We can flick through that. You know, please do say if that's helpful to see the image. I have taken some photographs as we go for some of it. Okay, so I just love the title. You know, it took me a couple of days to stop calling it a catalogue, but a brand guide is just, it seems so classy, and it is there to guide us in our conversations with customers. And as I said, is quite, in lots of ways, a bit of a script. If you're not so confident in how to word things. So here are some top tips on making the most of this event, this business tool. Okay, so my first one is obvious. Read it again and again, because the danger is we will flick and only take in about 2% of the content. So this is your new bedtime reading. Stick one on top of the loo, put one in the car, do whatever you need to do so you've got one around, so that you become really familiar with it. Because you know what it's like if you are trying to find something in a document that you're not familiar with, you'll stumble and struggle to find your way to a particular product. So even just hopefully the route map that we've just gone through, and as I expand this now, will help you to see how this has been put together, and hopefully as I chat, some of the reasons why. And I think on the pages there is so much information, so do read the detail so that that information is not just familiar but starts to go in. I think it's pretty much on every page you've got well, how do they phrase it? It's an essential oil feature. Hang on, let me just have a look. A key ingredient. So I've just opened the page on the frankincense collection, and right there at the top of the page, key ingredient. Pretty much every page has got one of those. Just turning over, there's the rose, and there's the orange flower, and it goes through to some of the body stuff as well. So there's a lot in there, and as well as that, some did you knows. Yeah, as I've said, learn the map of how it's laid out so that you can flick with confidence. So even knowing that the brand information's at the beginning, aromatherapy's at the back, you've got that skin bit that leads into the facial collections, and after that comes body. It means you can start to think about having some confidence in knowing whether you're going to go backwards or forwards in pages when you're trying to find things for people. And it will be an aid to your conversation rather than a stumbling block. And I think as you're promoting products through the use of this in the ways we're going to talk about, I'd really encourage you to use it in conjunction with the little seasonal guide. It's not a replacement, it's an add-on. And as I show you how I'm using this with my customers, and I've got lots that obviously still need to have, well, both of them really, I'll talk a bit about how I'm kind of using them differently from each other. but actually, if I just Charlotte, have you got some of these? Have you seen these?
No, I haven't got. I was going to ask you whether I could get one of those brand guides, but no, I haven't. I think I might have got the first ones, the first few, but I haven't received any recently.
Okay, right. So what they've sometimes done in the past is they've done a kind of mail out to consultants, but
Yes.
I've got some, so I'll make a note now.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
And put some in the post to you. Where's my pen? Yeah, here we go. And I'll put a couple of the brand guides and some of the little seasonal.
That would be great. Thank you.
Seasonal guides in there as well. So just so that you can understand what I'm talking about, this one is a little concertina leaflet.
Yeah.
Just 4 sides on each side. And as you can see, we've got heritage, which is the same as the one that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
There's wild rose. There's a page on our pick and mix feature in the ordering system, which is another conversation. There's a page on sleep. So those pages that I've just shown you are basically the key themes for the next 3 months.
Okay.
And I would say for you and for anyone else who's brand new as a consultant, just absolutely stick with your starter kit and get really good at promoting that. So, you know, you might want to...
I'm going to have to rebuy a starter kit or something because I've used it all.
Okay.
So, because I love the product so much.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
Your product of your product.
Yes.
And then what we've got on the other side, so other than the front cover, there's the back cover with some more information about joining and some of our awards, a bit like the page of that in the catalogue. And then there's a page of essential oils and a page about the benefits of hosting and the shopping credit and the half price discounted shopping that you can get for getting a get together. And of course, we can host as many of those as we like. So it's the same content, but it's put together for different reasons. It's meant to be kind of like a little working document that you can drop into order bags, dish out. I always think of it like the best business card. Why would I give out a little tiny piece of card with my contact details on when I can give them one of those and they're pennies, but they work alongside the brand guide that we're talking about. Yeah, go for it, Marbecca.
There wasn't any more of that seasonal guide to pick up over the weekend, was there? Because I only got 2. So
okay.
They're definitely in our website, on our replicated site that we can.
No, they're not in the replicated website.
No,
so they're in
the back office thing.
Yeah, in the consultant ordering system. So in the website where you put your ID and your password in.
Yeah. When
you order through that and you do a party order, they're in business tools on the consultant page.
Okay, I like that idea you just said about, you know, there's an alternative to business card. I think that is a really good thing. Yes, I might as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got a little order bag here that's sitting on my desk that I need to drop to somebody tomorrow. And look, there's the seasonal guide. It's it's easily insertable into an order bag.
Yeah, I'll do something like that, definitely.
Okay, just let somebody else in. Right, so so as you're kind of getting familiar with your brand guide, I'm going to suggest that you look at it through different angles. This was a suggestion somebody made to me. Well, this summer, it'll be 15 years ago when I joined Neil's Dud Remedies. I didn't know anything about any of the products.
How much it is, if you wanted to, it'll tell you if you maybe.
Let's just mute Anne. Hey, Anne, nice to see you. So basically, with my first, well, it was a catalogue then, but my first brand guide, I flicked through it and I basically thought, I'd like that, I'd like that, I'd like that. I've got that in my kit, and that was the only angle I went from. And so what I'm going to suggest is once you've read it and read it again, and you've read the detail and you've got confident of how it's laid out, ask yourself some questions. So for instance, calendula cleanser is in the starter kit. So Marbecca, relatively new as a consultant, she might think, right, I've got calendula cleanser. if a customer wanted a different creamy cleanser, what options have I got? So that then you're not looking at the catalogue as a shopping list for yourself.
Yeah.
You're looking at, what are my options? Yeah. What were you saying, Charlotte?
I was just saying frankincense.
Yes, the frankincense cleanser. Yeah, don't answer the questions. I want them to look
Sorry.
through the brand guide. You're right. But for instance, you know, in terms of exfoliators, what are the options for face and what are the options for body? So then you're looking through the pages with a completely different filter than just your shopping list. If somebody said, I don't like a cream cleanser, but I'd like a facial wash, what choices have they got? How many serums do we sell? How many facial oils do we sell? What can I find out about serums on page 8, 9, where it talks about I think it's page 8, yeah, it is, where it talks about the different products in a facial routine and what they're useful for. So, you know, you can make up your own, not just those 4 that I've listed, but you get the idea that you're just coming at it from lots of different angles so that you get really familiar with the brand. Especially, and those of you who've been consultants for a while, and wasn't she right to do that? Goodness me. When Annabelle Kindersley last year made the decision for Neil Judd Remedies that we were going to slimline some of our products that were at the edges of things that we sold lots of, to just kind of consolidate and shore up the brand in these weird and wonderful economic times. You know, some of those products that you thought you probably think are in the catalogue, in the brand guide, aren't. The things that you thought were in the range or had previously in the range are now not there. So it's important that for those of us who are old timers, that we get up to speed with what the choices are as well. It's not just for the newbies. Reassuring, isn't it, newbies, that it's the others have got some homework as well. And then what I'm going to suggest is, once you've done all of that, you start adding messages to customers, like you're popping up and commenting over their shoulder whilst they're reading. So if you can imagine a customer sitting on their sofa with a cup of tea, what would you be saying if you were sitting next to them? So I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to stop the share for a minute and show you a few things that this is just my idea, my version of what I've done in the brand guide. So first thing off, you probably saw in the seasonal guide, what I've done is I've added 2 sample sachets of the Wild Rose range. The reason I've done that is that that's our February focus. And so I wanted to be able to send these out in January so that people had already got the smell of Wild Rose in their noses before I start inviting people to workshops, offering borrow bags, you know, etc., etc. And if you're a therapist, before you start running treatments that include this range, if that's relevant to the treatments that you're doing. So I wanted to preempt February. And then what I did in the back was I put the Organic Defense, well, a little, this is it's called a smelling strip. You can buy a book of them. Hang on, I've got one here. A book of them in Business Tools. There are about, I don't know, gazillions of little labels where you write what the essential oil is here, and then you put drops of essential oil on the end. So I sat and watched telly the other night, and I wrote Organic Defense on loads and loads and loads of them, and I've stuck them in the brochure, but I haven't put any essential oil on them because I want that to be smelly vision when it goes in the bag. So I keep the Defense here on my desk so that I can drop it on the thing literally as it's going in the bag.
Okay.
Quite often it blobs off onto the page, never mind, it just makes the bag smell incredible. So the reason I've chosen Defense is that that's our essential oil of the month for February, but totally up to you. So Optimism is my favourite blend of all time, grapefruit and jasmine, and that's the essential oil of this month. So if you wanted to use that instead, you could. And Anne, good question. I've just put a little piece of sellotape across the top. Yeah. With these little sample sachets, you can get gluey dots and stuff, but I've run out. So I just did a little roll of sellotape under these. Okay, so that's what, and a sticker on the back with my details, which you can get from nyrshop.co.uk if you want those with the logo on. So that's those done, and I've had those since they were launched kind of beginning of January. So when it came to the brand guides coming out, I was like, okay, so what do we do there? So not everybody gets both, but I will offer both. So if I just open up here, I put 2 sample sachets in it basically, and so I've put in there frankincense hydrating cream, I think it is, yes, because it isn't the same as the wild rose. So if someone's going to get both, they've got different sample sachets. And then on the next page, I put rose facial oil, and that's just because I had some that are about to go out of date and I needed to use them up. And that's, you know, it's not too thought out. It's just that I wanted it to be different than what I put in the seasonal guide. Okay. Now on page 9, you saw the flappy tea bag. I happen to have some of these, which are the Bright Start tea. Those are currently a couple of pounds. It might be £2.50 in the sale in the outlet, because they're not ones that are continuing. But as a result, they're cheap as chips for you to stick inside the brochure. And what I want people to do on this page, which I'll show you close up, is I want them to sit with a cup of tea and fill in this page for themselves, so that they're being really intentional about knowing their own skin, knowing what textures they like. And that will give me loads of clues if they take some time to do that page for the conversations we're going to have. Because, for instance, Charlotte, if you're filling this out and you realise you love really thick, luscious, creamy textures, I'm going to base my recommendations of product around that. I'm not going to offer you daily moisture for your face or a body lotion. I'm going to go for thick, creamy butters and the pot moisturizers.
Yes.
So that page is worth its weight in gold. So the little post-it at the top says, please enjoy a cuppa on me while you fill this page in. Do send me a photo of the page when you've done it, and a little kiss. Because otherwise, how do they know that they're supposed to fill the page in? Yeah. So that could be a starter for 10 for so many conversations. On the essential oil page, I've stuck another little tester strip, so you can decide what oil you want to have there, and you could put it next to the blends. And if you happen to have an oil that's on the next page with all the, you know, just lavender or orange or whatever you fancy, doesn't matter, but try and think, you know, if it's going to be different from the one that's in the seasonal guide, if they're going to get both. Yeah. And then because of those, that tea bag, I did and ah about that, because obviously I've only just had the brand guides for, what's that, 2 days? Feels like about a week since we got back. So on the page with the herbal teas, this is for my friend Katie. I'll tell you about her in a minute. There's the herbal tea page. There's another post-it. So I've said, I hope you enjoyed your tea bag back on page 9, question mark, exclamation mark. This is our current selection available, because actually we're reducing those down to fired up, nighttime and quiet time. And I did have those. So kind of make it up as you go along. Yeah. Does that help with bringing it to life? Yeah.
Yep.
Now, of course, through the brochure, it might well be that you can personalize this to the individual. So actually, you know, there's no right or wrong about any of this. You might, for instance, you might know that they use the orange flower range, or you might know that they love Women's Balance. So you might want to put a note on there. You might want to put a sample on there. It's up to you as to how you personalize it. That I find is trickier to do on the hoof. It's a nice to do, but it doesn't happen very often. I think it's better to have these sort of generic prepped things. So if you've got a pile of brand guides, make sure they're ready to go with some samples in and some strips, because all you need then is a couple of drops of essential oil and off it goes. It's really tricky if you've got a pile of brand guides you haven't touched and suddenly you want to give one to someone and you're scrabbling around for a couple of samples and a tea bag and a post-it note, and it just doesn't happen. So it's worth having them prepped, ready to go. And then on the hosting page, because I really want to up the number of bookings that I've got where people gather some friends together, I've just put there, there's quite a lot on, you know, why be a host on the page, but I've said, if there's a part of our range that you'd like to find out more about as you flick through, let me know and we can gather some folk together. So it's kind of enhancing in a personal way what I think Katie in particular might be interested in doing, because Katie is a customer who she's used the products faithfully for quite a few years, but they're always the same products. So actually I wanted to put a message in the beginning that made her kind of consider, oh, okay, yeah, there might be some other things I'd quite like to learn about. So I don't want to dictate what her gathering is going to be about. I want her to find something she's curious about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. So question is that something that feels doable as you get your brand guides to kind of pimp them up a bit and make them work hard for you? Yeah. Get some nods. Good. Right, let's go back to anybody got any questions before we carry on?
I just have a quick one. That
Yeah.
last point you said about, can you sort of summarize that last bit about if they're curious about a brand or product?
Yeah, so it said about if they were curious as they were flicking through the brochure, if there was part of the range that they wanted to find a bit more about, to let me know, and then we could gather some folk together.
Okay.
The reason I say that, Marbecca, is that quite often we promote our agenda for themes, and it's actually quite nice to let one of your customers choose what they'd like to be taken on a journey with. You know, it's like, that women's balance intrigued me. What's that about? And suddenly you've got the beginnings of creating a women's balance workshop.
Okay.
That kind of thing. So it actually comes from the customer instead of us telling everybody what they should be booking. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're new, book it and then shout for help. We'll worry about it afterwards.
Okay.
Sean, could I ask a question as well, please?
Of course, yeah.
So you mentioned the tinctures, but I'm not seeing those in the brand guide.
Okay, so in the back, in Natural Health on page 38.
Yeah.
I said tinctures. There's the Mahonia. I think because we got the dandelion and burdock as let's see how popular it is. It may come in, but it may be limited edition.
Okay.
But also on that page, you've got the organic beauty oil. So I should have specified inner health rather than tinctures.
And also the Chi diffuser, on some previous marketing for it, it said about it having breathing techniques on there. I don't know how that works. What does it actually do?
Good question, and I don't know because I haven't read the leaflet in mine. It's just got a lovely warm glow through the ceramics, and I haven't tried it for breathing techniques, but I thought of you last week, Natasha, because I've downloaded a yoga app.
Right.
And I realized doing that for the first few days how appalling my breathing is. And so actually that really inspires me. I will read the leaflet and I'll let you know. I'll put a post in the Facebook group as well so everybody else can find out. But I think it must be something about the intervals of time that it diffuses or the light. It's got a little remote that comes with it, and it has, I think, 6 buttons.
Well, I've still got the one that almost sort of looks like a lovely beehive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I've still got that in clinic and it's going strong. So but obviously I want to recommend this one.
Yes.
But I don't know, but I would like to know what the breathing techniques are that go alongside that. And if you, for a future session, if you want me to share a couple of techniques with in a team meeting that people could use with the Chi diffuser that could be, you know, informing their customers, because we've got a lovely yogic breath called humming bee.
That's gorgeous. Well, and maybe for sleep and stress theme in March, it would be nice to do that together. I love that. I will definitely take you up on that.
So I'll wait to hear more from you about the techniques that go with, well, or the settings, sorry, that go with that. I look forward to it. But I'm not on Facebook.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So anything on WhatsApp I can pick up, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, well, I will do. And you can also sort out my appalling breathing techniques as I begin my journey with yoga. If only I live closer to Cardiff. Okay, right. So let's have a look at the next thing. Right, so the format of the brochure. I mean, some of this I did with you at the beginning where I flicked through, but I just thought the visual of actually the titles are quite helpful. So you've got the brand first with the family and why Proof Organic works and the credentials, the logos. Then there's a join page. And that's because, let's face it, we all said, yes, it is the best option out of the 3 choices people have got, isn't it? We want people to know they can do other things other than just buy the products. Then there's the share page, which is about sharing with friends of yours. So that's the hosting option. Then we've got the double page spread on skin. So we'll go all the way down the list and then you can screenshot it if you want it as like a little index. The facial ranges come next and then body. Then mother and baby, aromatherapy and the create range, the professional range, which is also kind of linked with that aromatherapy and create range, and a call out for therapists and their use of the products, home fragrance and inner health. Whoops, sorry, go back one. So there you go. There's the full collection of kind of the route through the book. And I think once you've got that structure in your mind, it really helps with your confidence in being able to pick up the book and flick as you're talking with people. A couple of other things to note in the brochure. On lots of the pages, you'll see this, a little asterisk and product not shown. And the reason for that is that we have a lot more products than are in the pictures. But as we've said, you know, actually sometimes catalogues can be a bit crowded out if you try and put everything in the page. And those beautiful images, I think, are quite serene. And I'm quite glad just to have things listed without, you kind of get the idea. You don't need to see gazillions of 200ml bottles. So do look out for the product not shown and the asterisks next to the things that are in the list. And that's going to be really important as you go through to learn the detail of how many things are there in the geranium and orange range and what body butters are available and all that kind of stuff. Don't just look at the pictures. Those of you who are visual, you must have a look in the listing, the wording. The quotes and testimonials, not just mine on the back. There are lovely quotes from hosts and customers and people who just love the product. And those are really quite powerful. I think that's a really nice thing to have in the book. But I think also that's got some potential for our lovely post-it notes, hasn't it? Because actually, if you've got a quote from one of your own customers about one of the products that they've purchased from you, why not stick that on a page that's relevant? So I was talking to you about Katie, and as I was planning this, I was thinking one of Katie's top products is Wild Rose Beauty Balm. So I'm actually going to ask her for a quote. And in future brochures that go out to other people, I'm going to have Katie's quote on the Wild Rose page. And I think that's a really nice way to personalize your own community of customers. The key ingredient shout outs I mentioned, and I showed you some of those as we went through the book, but a really good way to learn about some of our essential oils and how they're used in the skin as well as for fragrance. So frankincense, for instance, yes, lowers your heart rate, but is also very healing and preserving in its properties for the skin. So, you know, just interesting ways to find out about some of our essential oils in a new way. And then through the book, you'll find some did you know, and I've called them nuggets. Did you know how many rose petals it takes to make our rose essential oil? That kind of thing. So maybe one of the reasons to flick through the book is just to look through the did you know nuggets and just see whether there's something in there that you didn't know before. And then there's the famous page 9. So I would really encourage you to have your own copy of the brochure that you, the brand guide, that you scribble on, and that you write extra information around, you know, whatever's on the page. If you found a one-liner about, I don't know, the frankincense intense overnight mask, why not scribble it on your master copy of your brochure and just put your name on the front with a nice thick pen so that your noted version doesn't go home with somebody inadvertently one day. But actually, wouldn't it be powerful for all of us to fill out page 9? Let's be a product of our own product and have a look at that skincare regime finder. If I scroll on, it's here. Look, it's not a very beautiful picture, but at least you can see a bit more close up of how this page works. So basically, it's if you start on the left-hand side with the skin characteristics, you're looking for what is most obvious about my skin. So looking down those skin characteristics, come on, there's only a few of us on the call. Which of those boxes best describes your main concern or the characteristic that stands out most to you about your own skin?
Barely.
Well, I've stopped at the first box. Lines and wrinkles, reduced elasticity, lack of tone.
Okay, so let's use Natasha as a good guinea pig here. So Natasha, going along the lines there, would you say your main concern is fine lines and wrinkles or the loss of firmness and some deeper lines and wrinkles?
Yeah, they are deepening like crevasses.
I don't think so. I saw you at Winter Festival and you haven't changed a bit. So
well, it's the frankincense intense lift.
There you go. Right. That's what I need.
So it leads you through. So basically that range, obviously we're looking at second signs of aging, skin type. So it's not just aging, it's you can separate out the two types now, which is lovely. Charlotte, what would you go for?
I would have gone for the same, the top one.
Okay. Marbecca? Oh, you're muted, lovely.
I'd go for the third one, where shiny T-zone, because I've always known I've got combination skin. And funny enough, that is what I'm using at the moment, especially with the toner, Rehydrating Rose.
There we go. Love that. And then if the pictures are in the way, you can move the pictures of us out of the way, and you can't see all of the questions there because the tea bag's in the way, but that understanding your skin section on the right hand side, the 3 questions are: what is your main skin concern? How would you like your skin to feel? And what is your current skincare routine? Do you use a separate eye product? Those questions, tick boxes at the bottom. How useful would it be to have that on record for every customer? And those questions are reflected actually in our one-to-one skin consultation questions, which are here. You can get a little pad of, look, you can see the comparison of the page that we're looking at and this, which is a lovely, another kind of conversation starter, but now you don't need to use those. You've got one in the brochure that people, brand guide, that people can refer to. And as I said, the benefit of asking them to pass that on a photograph would be great. Okay. Yeah, so mark it up for those who are not, that you're not with, like I did in my picture. So just to go back, have a cup of tea on me, send me a photograph when you've done it, something like that. It doesn't have to be that message, just make it what you'd want it to be. I love hearts, and so somebody gave me pink heart post-its, but whatever is your thing, just make it whatever you want it to be. But really feature it, because they won't fill it in, let alone send it to you if you don't. When you're talking about this page with people, in order to sort of help them make choices about their skincare, absolutely remember to link it with the pick and mix. So with the pick and mix feature, we have, you buy a cleanser of your choice, you buy a moisturizer of your choice, and you get a free toner. Yeah. So actually, if I go back, that page, doesn't matter which of these collections you end up in, they're all in pick and mix. And then you've got the discounted 30 and 20% off. Go and have a look at it on your replicated website. See what all the choices are in pick and mix. You've got 20 and 30% off the serums, the oils, the boosters, the, you know, masks, all the other stuff that's in that pick and mix facility. And just a bit of a shout out for that, there is no other channel of Neil Shard Remedies that has that pick and mix option on the face products. And those people who are using it have said it's revolutionized their sales, because whereas people used to think, well, I'll get the moisturizer now and then maybe I'll get the face wash another time, they're now buying the both because they want the toner for free. And encouraging, you know, those for whom serum or facial oil is a complete mystery, to give it a go, because they're getting those discounted levels when they purchase at the same time as their cleanser and moisturizer. So yeah, go and have a look. Now, just to say, if you haven't had a play with that yet, if you go to your replicated website and go to the pick and mix section, you'll need to add the pick and mix option to the basket in order to see all the choices. So as long as you don't put your card in, you can go back and add to your basket as many times as you like. Please don't put your card details in, because I'll be in so much trouble if you've got thousands of pounds worth of pick and mix that you didn't want. Just play with the system and then delete the order. So that, again, a bit like our brand guide, you're really familiar with what the choices are. And as I said, that page 9 you can use as well in a group setting. So if you're running a workshop or a pamper event, use it as the basis of a conversation starter. And just, you know, keep that really lighthearted, that you want to do anything that doesn't look like a biology lesson, for goodness sake. That's not going to be a great way to work. But actually, just even talking about textures of products, or, you know, you'll find conversation just starts around cleansers or toners that make the skin tight. And you can say, well, ours don't, because they've got pure and organic plant oils and natural ingredients in them. So, you know, there's so much in the conversation around all the different facets of a facial routine that people never really had the chance to sit and talk about. And I think that's a really quality part of any kind of get together. So who do you give it to? So I would say, first off, offer it to people who are regular, or at least your best customers. So I've put at the bottom there, offer to add to order bags as you go, Katie's story. So I've already mentioned Katie. Katie's a friend of mine who I don't see very often, but her son was in my daughter's class all through primary school, and she lives in the same area of Bath. So we bump into each other every now and again. And she's quite happy to buy her products from me rather than the store or Waitrose, that both of which we've got in Bath that sell Neil Shard Remedies shop and Waitrose. And I think occasionally she probably does, but most of the time she buys from me. So she ordered at the end of the winter sale, and she's been away, and I messaged her the other day and said that that I'd got her order and needed to drop it off to her this week. And we had a conversation about when I was going to do that. And then I said, I've just got our new brand guide that is like the old catalogues that you used to have, Katie, because she did. She's been a customer for a few years. Would you like one? And she said, yes, please, I'd love one. And then I'm just actually going to find a message. So as I said, I got it all ready for the for her order. Let me find her in WhatsApp. Sorry, I should have got this ready. She said how I put a little travel size frankincense hydrating cream in for her because she ordered the bigger pot, and I thought actually that'd be a really nice little extra. So, and she's a very faithful customer. So she said the goodies look great and thanks for the travel size. I've paid you now and I'm going to enjoy flicking through the catalogue. And I said, thought you'd like the little pot. It'd be great to refill again for holidays once it's empty. And she said, thank you. It's just the thing. So, you know, that kind of exchange is what we're about. This is a relationship business. And I think asking Katie first off whether she wanted a brand guide, nearly there. The thing is, when she said yes, she's then looking forward to it. That is much more energetically, much more connected than if I just pushed one into her bag with her goodies. And imagine pushing one into her bag with her goodies with no samples and no messages in it. So it's the opposite of that kind of, here's a tool and it's just a bit disconnected. If you ask and she says yes, there's an air of expectation. If you then make that really special, it becomes a joy to receive, and you're going to get connection results out of it too. If you know, look through it with that person's in your kind of field of vision and how you can make it special. And as we said, helping them to see their way around things like page 9 and the joining page or the hosting page or whatever's relevant. Yeah. So I think making it special in the ways that are listed and things you've seen in my own brochure. But I think also actually sometimes it's not because somebody's ordered, you can use it as a way to reconnect. So one of my jobs for next week that I've got on my radar is to ping some messages across to people who used to buy and I haven't heard from for a while. Because actually to say, hi, you know, how is the beginning of 2024 for you? Just reconnect with them individually and then say, I thought of you because previously you've enjoyed the catalogues, they're back. We're calling it a brand guide. Would you like one? Rejuvenates that relationship. Now, obviously, if you're new and you haven't got those people to reconnect with, that's completely fine. Great. Store it away as a useful tip for when you have in a few years' time. But I think for some of us, we've got people who used to purchase from us, and do they know that our Neal's Yard Remedies shop is still open? Do they know that we're still a Blue Bottle person that they can purchase from? So definitely use it as a tool to reconnect. And then, you know, Katie's story, it wasn't just because she's a regular customer or a best customer, it was because I had the order bag. So even if you haven't got an order bag, just ask if they want one. And if you have got an order bag, ask them if they'd like you to add it to the order bag, because that yes, as I said, is energetically quite a powerful dynamic to have. Okay, so what we're not doing is posting them out willy-nilly. You know, they're only 90p, and what can you get for somebody you care about for 90p these days? I'm a sucker for stationery, so I've actually purchased some blue A4 envelopes, but that is absolutely not essential. But for me, the signature is a colourful envelope. If somebody gets that through their letterbox, if it's gone in the post, they know it's likely to be from me, because we just get boring posts, don't we, these days? We don't get nice colourful envelopes. So maybe that's your thing as well and you want to make it special that way. Okay, another way to use this is absolutely an amazing tool in any one-to-one conversations you're having. So that might be one-to-one talking to somebody about their skin concerns and products that they want to use. Maybe you're doing a mini facial with them, and it may be a conversation that you're having after treatment, or even just some random stranger that you've met at a fair or a market stall that you're doing, a pop-up shop that you've got somewhere. And what I would say is, reiterate the point, it's a best tool when you know it well, when you feel confident that when you pick it up, you know which direction you're going in and what's in it. But my top tip would be to pick it up when you start talking. And that could be the one that you are wanting to offer to the person at the end, and it could be your own master copy that you've jotted notes in, really up to you. But if you pick it up, it's much easier to open it and show something to somebody that you're talking about than to stop what you're saying and say, hang on a minute, and then go and find yourself a brand guide. So having it in your hand means also, teacher in a former life, rather than just the words, they've also got something to look at. So a bit like I'm doing with you now, you've got something to look at on screen and you're hearing what I'm saying. That makes it easier to take in the information, and that's going to be true in those one-to-one conversations. So your clients are going to be reading, your customers are going to be reading things on pages and hearing some of your words. But what's key about that is to make sure they can read it too. So when you're standing with them and you're making recommendation, I would suggest you move yourself so that your shoulders are together and you're looking at the brochure together. If you're standing holding it in front of you, they're not reading it. You're using it as a prompt. Whereas if you turn yourself and they're standing next to you, you can look at the pages together. And what that also does is it makes a gentle way of bridging connection. Sometimes face to face can be a bit harsh. If I'm standing talking to a complete stranger at a stall, I'm better standing next to them, and it feels like almost like you're walking together, which you kind of are. You're walking through the conversation together. But using it to make recommendations as you're talking is nice. And then, would you like to take one away with you? You know, to offer it to them at the end of the conversation. What we don't want is people feeling like they've got to take it and then just dumping it in the recycling. But actually, if somebody for 90p wants to take it away and put it on their coffee table and use it as a resource, I'm absolutely up for that. And what I usually say to people is, you know, please, I hope you really enjoy it. Please do enjoy it. I think it's a beautiful guide through our brand. But when you've finished with it, please feel free to pass it on to somebody else or hand it back. And I think that's okay to say as well. And then lastly, it's a really good tool to use with groups of people. We've talked a little bit about getting the conversation started, but the format order is your roadmap through any kind of get together, because what we talk about at the beginning of a workshop or a pamper or a party, whatever you want to call it, we talk about the brand first. And usually I start by saying, well, what do you know already? And then I'll add a few bits of information. What's nice about that is everybody else in the room tells everybody else in the room how marvelous Neil Jard is, and all you need to do is agree with them. And you can throw in a few lines if you want, but your script for anything that you might want to say is there in those front few pages, isn't it, in what's there about the company. Then you've got, I always say to people, look, I want to be clear from the beginning that there are 3 ways that you can engage with this range. For some of you, you might decide you want to purchase the products, and that's great. Some of you might be thinking, so-and-so would love this as we go through the course of what we're going to do in this workshop. And if that's for you, then have a look at page, whatever it is. Let's have a look. What's the hosting page? I haven't got these down yet. Page 7, my favorite number. I'll remember that now. And actually, if you think you might be interested or a bit intrigued about what it involves to be a consultant, have a look at page 6, which is right opposite. So it's right in the beginning of the brochure. You've got all of that background stuff. And then actually, as we're talking about skin and that famous page 8 and 9 duo, that's where you start to lead people then into the product choices that you're going to take them through. And what we've said, I think I said before the video started, actually, if you are new, start with your starter kit. That is the heritage range. And I'm just going to flick on a page. There it is. That is the starter kit.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I've got a little recruiting flyer here. There's the starter kit. It's almost laid out the same. So you've got just an amazingly easy way to access your products from your starter kit for introducing to people in little groups. February, as I said, if you're able to take on more information, our focus is going to be wild rose. So page 12 looks like this. And look at this. Where's that little seasonal guide gone? What have I done with that? Oh, here it is, tucked under my notes. You see it under the things. It's the same image, apart from this one here. Look, we've got a random rose product going on here. Do you know what that's about? That's because if you're going to lead people through a workshop, this is a good tool to do, you're going to need a cleanser. And there isn't a cleanser in the wild rose range. So actually on this page, we've got the rose facial wash as an alternative to the calendula cleanser that's in your starter kit. Yeah, that's where they put it. There it is, calendula cleanser. So in the seasonal guide, you've got this little rogue rose product on the side. Let's go back one. And then March 15th is World Sleep Day. So just to link back, February with a wild rose focus, of course, is also going to be a beautiful product range for Mother's Day, which is the 10th of March. So it's February-ish, but you know what? Let's spill into March. That's fine. And if you do want to make a bit of a feature on sleep, and that's where we're going to have our newly created team breathing exercises evening, courtesy of our lovely Natasha. Sleep comes as a whole range on page 24. So actually, how great is that? If you're running a bit of a get together of people, everything you need for that theme is on one page.
Nice.
Yeah, didn't it? Let me just find the sleep in the little seasonal guide. Look at that. Same picture. So once you've familiarised yourself with one, you'll be fine. Isn't that a beautiful little fact about the ylang-ylang? Did you see that? Look, the flowers are hand-picked between 6 a.m. and 11 a.m. Do you know why?
Because maybe they're open or they're closed or at that time.
Apparently it's just before the fragrance is released. Okay. So it's when the fragrance is the highest in the flower. I mean, even the timing of when they're picked, I love that attention to detail. It's like with the rose petals, they're picked just before the dew is dried off, because that's when the fragrance is highest. Love it. Attention to detail brand.
So that could be the did you know thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it could. Absolutely. So there we go. How are we doing for time? Just about an hour, because we started a little bit late. Has that been helpful in giving you some ways to kind of augment your brand guide? Yeah. Good nodding, Charlotte.
Really helpful, Sian. Thank you so much. Yeah, made loads of notes. Well, you started by saying it's there to guide you. It's a route map and learn the layout. And yeah, it's just taken us through beautifully. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I was thinking a bit earlier as I was kind of doing my lights and working out where I was going to sit and stuff. I was thinking about that. Did you ever see that television program called Pimp My Ride?
Yes.
but they took an ordinary car and they put all the bells and whistles on it. You remember it, Charlotte?
Yep.
And I think what we've just done is pimp my brand guide. It's, you know, let's have samples and tea bags and little private messages and I've got, yes, it's me on the back of the brochure. And if you want to, you can go, I know her or something, you know. We're just augmenting it, aren't we? Pimp my brand guide. I don't know, it doesn't sound very organic, but it just made me laugh. But I think the key thing is that you're doing everything to help yourself and everything to connect with whoever is receiving that. It's not just a book. We know this and love this product. And I think the more you put in it, the more it kind of brings the product to life as much as possible without actually getting them and putting the product on their skin, which of course is the optimum.
Yeah.
Marbecca, helpful for you?
Yes, very, very much so. As I go along, I'm starting to get ideas on videos, actually, what to do for videos. So that's really handy.
Great. Well, I
Very
think
useful.
for you, for all of us, I think the key thing is that we just think, right, who's having the first 5? Because they come in 5s, they're £4.50 for 5. They're doing a smaller print run so that there isn't surplus. And yes, we can have more made. Oh, and that's the other thing to say, it's going to last all year. So let's face it, get a batch. You're going to use them up over the course of the next 12 months. And then just think, right, who would I like to give one to first? And if, like me, you've got sample sachets that need using up, it's time to have a bit of a spring clean, a bit early for a spring clean, but you know what I mean? Gather them all up, get them out there in brochures. And sorry, brand guides. Fell at the final hurdle. And I've done 15 years. I can't change the name now. I've got to change it. Get them all out there, and then, you know, it's just a perfect chance to say, did you enjoy the bits and bobs I stuck in it? What samples did I give you? You know, and even I was thinking, I don't need to do it for Katie, but with some customers, I might well use the post-it notes to just put some instructions on how to use the product. So Charlotte, if you were my customer and you'd said what you said about the triple action melting cleanser,
yeah, I
might put a little sachet of that in and say, you know, I know you love this, remember, you know, and then kind of put the process down again.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, so you can personalize it if you've got the right thing, but I just needed to get my samples used up. But don't forget to put some sample sachets on your order when you order the guides.
Yes.
Great. Right, I'm going to stop recording.